Hello, my name's Hamish Jenkinson. I am the Creative Director at the department, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to Immersive Futures 2.0. This is our thought leadership platform, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dorothy. Dorothy, thanks for joining me today. How are you doing over there in Australia?
Yeah, doing really well, Hamish. Thrilled to be here and really excited about our discussion today.
I connected with you online. I think, the last year is everyone has had to use the online connections as a means of finding new things and discovering new things. And I've been blown away by the posts that I've seen you share. And of course, you're one of the top voices on LinkedIn. How did that come about? Why did you did it grow organically? Was there a plan behind your desire to share kind of immersive experiences, immersive art?
Sure. I guess the strategy was quite simple to begin with. It was around posting 6 times a week. And it was posting the work that I guess we were immersed in all the time, because part of what we do involves a whole lot of research. And I guess that's, similar to what your organization would do before you start a project. There's this massive research phase. So, I thought I'm just going to hit the social media and do 6 days a week. And I hit Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. The traction on LinkedIn was really surprising. So it kind of shot up immediately. And I guess it was because the things that I was posting were things that we're aware of because it's in our space, but the business community were not aware of all this kind of work. So it is really about, can I see this work engaging an audience? And is there a story to tell? Or how do I think an audience will come out of that experience? What will they feel? Or, all of those kinds of things come together when I'm looking at this work.
We've put together a really interesting week of discussions, debates, and conversations. So looking ahead, today we're going to be joined by Ben Tam from Google. We've got Omnicom's head of kind of future strategy. Tuesday, we've got a resilient stories from the trenches, how people survived through the pandemic. And then on Wednesday, we've got best in class, people that managed to put on events despite the challenges of what was an extremely difficult year last year. And we've got some good speakers joining us on Wednesday. Who's that, Dorothy?
We've got Pandemic Pioneers, Projects and Pivots, and the guest speakers are BMW's Head of Gaming and Sponsorship and eThru's Innovation Lead.
And then on Wednesday, we've got a little bit of a debate on Clubhouse, and anyone with an iPhone is welcome to join us there. I'm afraid if you've got a Samsung, you're not invited. What's the topic of discussion there, Dorothy?
We're talking about what does the future look like now?
And then on Friday, we're going to wrap up the conversation, and we've got a bit of a futurist joining us. Kathy Hackle is one of the leading voices in the kind of metaverse conversation, and no doubt the pandemic has accelerated our online experience, our digital kind of experience. And she's got a really powerful vision of what the future looks like and how that will connect with the real world, the physical world. And I'm really excited for that conversation. Well, I in the whole of last year, I managed to make it to an immersive experience once. So I was very pleasantly surprised every time I jumped on LinkedIn and found some of your posts, which I think have been seen by 1 million people across the globe. Could you maybe talk us through some of the highlights?
Absolutely. I think the work that's resonated the most has been, pieces that have been created that are really immersive. So the artists that come to mind are Super Bien in Paris. So they did this incredible oceans piece, which was a digital immersive aquarium. And if you look at the video, you can see that it truly was immersive. What was really great about the experience as well was that the digital content was quality. Like, it was extremely well done, really strong visually. You didn't feel like it was a digital display. It really actually did feel like it was an aquarium, which was really beautifully done. Another amazing project was one called Starry Beach by a company called District. They're a South Korean agency, and they've done a lot of really amazing stuff over the last year in particular. They also did a couple of projects. I don't know if you saw them, Hamish. There were, large screens in South Korea, and they had digital content that looked like it was actually coming out of the screen. So it was really beautifully done. Again, very immersive, really creative, just clever content, and not gimmicky. I think that's, you know, that's what makes it really beautiful. It was really artistically done.
Yeah, district are incredible. I mean, those anamorphic displays where they've got LED wrapped around a building, you know, certainly online, they look absolutely incredible. I'd be really interested to see how they work from other perspectives, because they're it's almost like trompe-l'oeil. They're designed to be seen from one particular perspective, and I've not actually seen it in the flesh, so it's hard for me to judge.
So they don't actually work from another perspective. So that's, I guess that's the issue. So you do have to stand at exactly the right angle to view that. From another angle, they're quite distorted. It's still a very beautiful experience, and, you know, obviously viewed by an insane amount of people. So I think they achieved what they set out to achieve. Another great artist I'd like to talk about is Anna Dreambrush. So she's a VR artist that's truly exciting. I guess VR is coming from this real gaming space, and now we're seeing some artists really explore VR with tilt brush and creating some really incredible immersive pieces. And some of her work is just absolutely unbelievable. I feel like VR is going to be really strong in the art space, and I think that's really exciting.
I mean, one of the things that I think the last year has taught us is that immersive experiences now really do need to kind of adopt the hybrid model. You know, we are going to see, and the technology and the ability to be able to create immersive experiences that are physical and real, but also have a digital afterlife and a digital footprint and a global reach. What do you think?
My personal opinion is that digital is an extension of what you're creating. So it's not a, you know, here's the experience and you can experience exactly the same thing in VR. I feel like it's, this is the experience, and obviously we all want to be in the space and, you know, really experience it. But I feel like VR is that next step. It's like to add to what you're already creating, maybe something that you can't create in an immersive space that VR might be able to do for you.
Certainly one of the things that is going to fascinate me, and I think is really interesting for brands, is that the retail landscape is completely changing. Certainly here in London, Oxford Street, which is one of the busiest shopping streets in Europe, that street, you know, is fundamentally going to have changed after 2020, because huge department stores which used to dominate that high street have now disappeared. But I think we can also say that if they don't create brand experiences, they're never really going to give their customers that deep, rich experience, be able to understand their values. How do you think brands and marketeers should be thinking about the kind of retail experience, and how do you think kind of immersive might be able to help brands create deep and rich bonds with their customers?
I mean, I think it's a given that, you know, this day and age, people want to experience things. They don't want to just buy something. They want to feel part of a brand. If you look at Apple as a great example, I don't know how many people out there still have the boxes that their products came in, you know, because the branding is just so beautiful and you feel like you're giving yourself something. When you go to experience something, there's a story to tell afterwards. So you've had this wonderful experience, you've taken your family, you've taken your loved one, and when you come out of that, you've got a shared memory. And that's the strength in immersive experiences, is that shared memory, and that shared memory is connected to that brand. So I think it's crucial for brands to be playing in that space, and it's about being clever when they're playing in that space as well. And you know, not over branding, not stopping an experience to, you know, hand out something. It's around, you know, it's around subtle branding, and it's more about the experience and what people are taking away from that.
One of the things that I've become kind of slightly evangelical about is kind of lasting impressions versus social impressions. So, you know, I totally accept that we've got to have digital marketing campaigns, and so much of kind of young people, Gen Z's lives does take place in the digital environment. But for marketeers and brands and businesses that are looking to create deep, rich, lasting bonds with their customers, I think, you know, the marketeers celebrate when someone spends 1.3 seconds on a post and likes it. But if you were to put someone into an immersive environment and give them this incredible rich experience, I firmly believe that that can create a lasting impression. So for example, I still remember when there was a collaboration between an immersive company called Punch Drunk and a vodka brand. And that vodka brand, it still has a place in my heart, that I still remember that experience. I probably still have a closer affiliation to that particular type of vodka. And I think marketeers need to understand that this immersive marketing can play such a huge and important role in having a really deep connection with their customers.
I completely agree. And it's all around memories. So, if you look back at what you did last year, you wouldn't remember the Netflix movie that you watched or, the thing that you bought, but you would remember something that you experienced, something that you were immersed in, something that you had a conversation with afterwards, something that, brought you joy. I know that even just going to a music concert, as an example, when you walk away, there's that euphoric feeling, and similar to art experiences or to brand experiences, when you're in the space, you're immersed in it, you're enjoying it. There's moments of highs, there's moments of lows, and taking away those experiences and those memories is really strong.
Dorothy, I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Tan. He's from Google. Ben, do you want to just tell us a little bit about who you are and your passions, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Ben Tan. I'm a creative technologist working at Creative Works at Google and based in London. I'm really interested in technology in general. And one thing I like to say is I'm interested in the future because that's where I'm going to live. I come from a software engineering background. I worked in various software companies and I eventually landed in advertising, where I worked for 5 years at TBWA in Australia. And now I've been at Google for 4 years now, kind of in the advertising and marketing space as well, working with a lot of our big clients at Google.
Cool, Ben. What do you think are some of the trends that you've seen come out of the last year?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. For me, the most interesting thing is virtual events. So because everyone is kind of stuck at home, we're not able to go outside to museums and to see music anymore. Music is a big passion of mine. If I were to spin my camera around, you would see multiple musical instruments around me in my room here. I went to many, many concerts when I first came to London, and I miss it a lot. And so I made it a point to try and attend as many virtual concerts as I could during last year.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some of the highlights of those concerts. What do you think really worked? What didn't? Who managed to embrace the technologies in a way where the technology didn't get in the way and the experience of the concert came through?
Yeah, absolutely. I think different people want different things. Some people are happy, in terms of the audience anyway, I think some people are happy to sit back and just watch something passively. And some people want something more. For someone like myself, who's very much into technology, for example, I love virtual reality. I have about 4 or 5 headsets that I own. It's a bit ridiculous, to be honest. And so I crave that something more immersive. And so probably the most immersive one that I personally attended was Tobacco Dock Virtual. So Tobacco Dock is a venue here in London, which I've been to myself. I've been to the physical venue. They recreated it in 3D. And for the event that spanned, I think it went over 2 nights, they crossed multiple platforms. So you could watch it on YouTube, you could watch it on Twitch. They had a microsite where you could swap between rooms. You could watch it on your mobile, you could watch it on your desktop, you could watch it on your connected TV. And in addition to all that, you could watch it in a VR headset as well. So you could put on your headset, go into Tobacco Dock in 3D, be surrounded by other people who are there dancing in VR, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but it works. I honestly enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. They recorded the DJs before, kind of had a green screen kind of cutout around them. So it's kind of like a 2D cutout, and they were performing in the 3D space as if you were watching them for real. So I thought that was quite magical to be able to do that. And people were speaking and having conversations. People were meeting new people, people were exchanging phone numbers in the public website chat, which I thought was quite wild, right? So people were connected in a real way, as if they were connecting in a real space. So I thought that was quite incredible.
Can I just
Yeah, I
say, I'm
mean,
really disappointed
go
that
on.
you only have 5 VR headsets. I feel like you should be having more, seeing that you work at Google.
If I had more time and more heads, yeah, maybe.
Ben, one of the things that kind of interests me is, I think, you know, as an immersive experience producer, and I work with brands, I try and realize imagined worlds for them. One of the things that pre 2020, you know, the idea of kind of creating a global immersive experience and a physical experience was maybe challenging from a budget perspective. But I think there's been a lot of innovation that have allowed people to do quite lo-fi, but really rich experience. Would you say that's true? Did you experience any of that?
Yeah, once again, I think there's a range, right? So it's how some brands or some artists have been approaching this is using existing platforms. So rather than building something from scratch, I'm a huge fan of the Wave. A friend of mine actually worked there for a while. And I think they kind of started, they were one of the big ones at the start doing all this VR music event stuff where they were creating fantastical worlds with 3D squids flying around and lasers and lights and things that would react to your input as well, right? Having that interactivity and not just having a passive experience where you're just sitting back and watching something happen around you, you could actually affect what was happening. And for me, I prefer experiences like that because they are more immersive, because they are engaging you. So going into the budget thing, I think taking advantage of existing platforms like Sansar or the Wave or Engage or Rec Room, in terms of the VR stuff, in terms of budgets, it helps to be on those platforms because they do already have some audience on there as well. So that helps a bit to get more people to watch these experiences that are being created. So I think that helps a little bit. In terms of production, I guess like for me, the things that interest me are Unreal Engine and Unity, which I've used. Unity I've used for a long time. Unreal I'm getting into at the moment. I'm kind of doing the tutorials from start. And for me, real time is where the interesting space is in terms of technology. That's where you can push the limits a bit more and make something that's more immersive and more engaging.
Just, you know, my background is in kind of immersive, not digital, but real experiences. The first show I produced in 2008 was a show with the now kind of legendary Punch Drunk. 30,000 people came and saw it, and I'm pretty sure it had a lasting impression on anyone that did. Where do you think brands and marketeers need to think about the kind of the physical environment? Because, you know, it's not cheap to put on a really rich immersive experience for brands and marketeers. But I'm a big believer that, and I'm sort of coining this phrase, lasting impression versus social impression, and that actually by focusing on creating a really rich immersive physical experience, they do get a return on investment. It's harder to track because marketeers love being able to say, we paid this much for a social media campaign, we got to look at these clicks, look at the countries. It's harder when you're doing a physical build and you're getting people to come into that thing, and maybe they share a post on Facebook, but you're never going to pick up on the fact that they went out for dinner after going to this immersive environment, and the next 2 hours they spoke about it and they continued speaking about it, and it wasn't just. And so I'm challenged as a creative director of an immersive agency. I find it hard to break through the wall of a marketeer thinking about their budget spend and trying to get them to understand that, yes, you may not be able to get all the big data, which we all love, but I promise you, your investment will give you a return on, and not just a little click. What do you think, you know, what kind of thought processes does that fire in your brain, Ben?
I think you've reached into my brain and pulled out some of my thoughts and verbalized them. Okay, so I totally understand. There are different ways to measure success, I guess is the way I look at it. There's different ways to measure impact. Personally, I love real experiences, like real life physical experiences too. So a small anecdote, one of my favorite projects I worked on back when I was at TBWA, we did a VR experience that was in a location somewhere where we took a real car with hydraulics inside, so it would move like a theme park ride kind of thing. And it was a VR experience where you had to sit inside it, and it would have a simulated car crash. So you're a crash test dummy, and it would show you what it was like to be in a car from 30 years ago and a car from today, and how the safety features were different. So the anecdote is, I was there at the physical event. There were people lining up to go to this experience. You know, they were really keen to try it out. VR was still very new at the time. And this one gentleman went in and he tried it, and he came out and he just had this huge grin on his face. And he said, wow, I've just been to New Zealand bungee jumping, and I've now just done this VR experience, and this was better than the bungee jumping. And that just put a huge grin on my face as well. That just one anecdote from this one person just made the whole thing worth doing, to like make this person happy.
I would say that, you know, from a technology perspective, what I kind of get, my feeling is that augmented reality is the way that we're going. There seems to be, you know, Magic Leap got in there first. They overpromised and underdelivered. And maybe we're just a little bit too far ahead of the game. But now with, you know, whisperings of Apple glasses and AR technology, and we've all had to embrace this idea of QR codes for restaurants and stuff like that. Would you say I'm right in augmented reality is going to become an even bigger player in the technology and immersive experience?
I think, yeah, I think that's a really interesting topic. I think different companies are embracing different technologies. AR is definitely something that Google is supporting at the moment with AR Core for native mobile apps. And there's been search AR and lens AR executions. Most recently, they added a whole bunch of Japanese pop culture characters into search AR. So if you search for like Hello Kitty, I think is one of them. If you search on that on Google search, there will be a panel that comes up where you can view Hello Kitty in 3D. There were all the dinosaurs and all the animals that were added. I think kids had a lot of fun with that during lockdown, seeing all the tigers and elephants. Yeah, I think where some people struggle with AR is trying to find the right application of it. And it's kind of like, why AR? So is it for a practical purpose? Is it serving some kind of educational purpose? Or is it just pure entertainment, right? I mean, both of these are valid things. I guess you want to try not to create just like more trash to put out there on the internet, right? Try and create something that, you know, at the very least, makes somebody happy. Like if it's for an entertainment purpose, like, you know, that still has a purpose. It's putting a smile on someone's face, especially in lockdown when there's not that many things to put smiles on people's faces. You know, something simple like a 3D Hello Kitty might be enough to keep a child entertained for a while. And maybe that helps a parent have a moment of peace and quiet when the child is playing with some kind of AR experience.
I was looking at your LinkedIn profile today, just brushing up, and I noticed that I loved the summary, like the first paragraph that you have in that was just really beautiful, because I feel like it really resonates with who I am and what I believe in, particularly the point that you made about continually learning and improving. And that jack of many technologies, what was it, master of some? Like I feel like that's the space, you know, that we're all in, and it's an exciting space, and it always pushes us in that, you know, we're out of our comfort zone continually, you know, learning and growing and researching and developing new ideas. So I just have to say I love that. So that was fantastic.
No, absolutely. Embrace the uncomfortable, embrace ambiguity. That's kind of a phrase that like some people say, and I think there's a little bit of that when you work in technology and innovation. You do have to you know, be comfortable with the unknown sometimes.
Ben, thank you very much for joining me and Dorothy. We'll let you get back onto a VR headset or some other little piece of technology, or maybe it's a bit of music that you're working on.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Great
right.
to be Take care.
Dorothy, we asked Phil Rowley, Head of Futures at Omnicom, to provide us with a little bit of insight into the way he's seeing the future of kind of immersive marketing. So we'll just have a little pre-roll of his thoughts.
From my perspective, gaming is about to change the media landscape forever. Why? Because if gaming is the caterpillar, the metaverse will be the butterfly. Let me explain. Gaming is swallowing other media channels inside it and will become the channel of channels. 5,000 years ago, we developed writing for passing on stories and storing information. Then radio came along and swallowed writing, absorbing its ability to convey information, but added broadcast technology. Then TV came along, swallowed radio's functionality, but added visuals. Then the internet came along, swallowing TV and radio and writing. Now gaming is set to be the final Russian doll, swallowing all other media inside it. Here's why. Gaming is now like TV and film. Games have multi-million-dollar budgets and star Hollywood actors like Keanu Reeves. Gaming is like music. We have Travis Scott playing a virtual gig in Fortnite to 27.7 million people. Gaming is like sport. The esports market is worth $1 billion and has star players, arena events, sponsorship deals. The BBC is even broadcasting it. Gaming, as it becomes the metaverse, will become the home for virtualized versions of real-world channels and will take its users beyond computerized competition. No controllers, no quests, no extra lives. People will inhabit these spaces to meet, share, watch, listen to stuff together and learn like they do in the real world. It will be the channel that contains all other channels. Watch for the brands moving into this space, extending their TV ads, their audio ads, their outdoor and their existing sponsorships into this world. Everything is about to change, but let's discuss that on Thursday's Clubhouse meeting.
Great stuff from Phil there. The other thing that we've been working on is we've commissioned a report into immersive marketing, and we've been looking at the industry, we've been looking at best in class, and we've really tried to provide a roadmap for marketeers and a kind of comprehensive guide that will teach them how they can use immersive marketing as a tool to create deep, rich bonds with their clients and how they can get a return on their investment. Dorothy, I saw you post the other week one of my hologram shows. I'm a huge fan of the hologram medium. It just allows you to create these kind of visually stunning experiences. And we put together a little bit of a kind of a VT, a history of holograms, Pepper's Ghost. So we're going to play that and then we'll come back to the conversation.
My name's Hamish Jenkinson, Creative Director of the department, and I've been lucky enough to work in the medium of holograms for many years now. They're a fantastic tool in creating unbelievable immersive experiences. Really, we can trace holograms back to the 1860s when John Henry Pepper invented Pepper's Ghost, a 45-degree angle gauze, a mirror, lighting, and suddenly a live audience would see things that they never believed possible. It wasn't until the 1940s when Dennis Garber fled the Nazis and arrived in the UK that new inventions in hologram technology really pushed this medium forward. He later received a Nobel Prize for his work. For me, holograms really became exciting when I saw a Russian company called Sila Sveta combine holograms with live performance and rear projection. The show that they created for a BMW car launch absolutely blew my mind, and I knew at that point I wanted to create something within this medium. My first hologram show was for the luxury Swiss watch company IWC. They had a line of watches called the Da Vinci, and I suggested to the CEO George Kern that it would be amazing to bring Leonardo da Vinci back to life and to discuss what inspired him, where creativity came from. And that technique of holograms allowed us to do the most amazing things with Leonardo da Vinci. The Vitruvian Man, to run in slow motion, to appear and disappear. So this interplay between the real performer and the hologram performer, never allowing the audience to figure out what was real and what was not. I later learned that a company called Holotronica, led by Stuart Warren Hill, had invented a new type of hologauze. What was amazing about this was using short throw projectors at a very acute angle, meaning that the performer can see the hologram content and that the audience can see both the hologram and whatever action is happening on the stage. And so I used that for a car launch for BMW in which we had live performers and cars on motion tracked carts that moved around. Again, an absolutely brilliant experience for the audience. I continue to be amazed and enthralled by what holograms can do. If we take the example of shows in Las Vegas where Whitney Houston's been brought back to life, everyone remembers that moment that Tupac, great artist, performed live. When we look to the future, it was Dennis Garber who said, "We can't predict the future, but we can invent it." 5G means that we can do real-time volumetric capture almost anywhere where there's 5G. New software tools like Unreal and Unity mean that we can create 3D worlds, volumetric experiences in ways that we were never able to previously. So I predict the live hologram experience will continue to innovate and provide audiences with unbelievable experiences that their eyes can hardly believe. Watch this space.
What do you think, Dorothy? Holograms here to stay?
Definitely, absolutely. It just really adds to the experience. It was beautifully done, by the way, Hamish. Just spectacular.
Thank you. Very kind. Cheers.
Such a great conversation today, Hamish. Really enjoyed myself. It was great to hear from Ben from a creative and technology perspective. Really looking forward to the conversations for the rest of the week and hoping that everyone can join us.
Brilliant. No, again, thank you, Dorothy. I too really enjoyed the conversations. I'm super excited for this space. I think physical and digital has just got so much further to go now. We've really got the ability to show marketeers and brands that immersive experiences, physical, although they'd have a cost associated to them, they do create these lasting bonds. But not only that, we can create a world around them, a metaverse that allows that physical experience to live on in the digital sphere. So a few little housekeeping bits here. There's some VIP tickets to Elrose Festival, not an online one, a real one. That's open to those here in London. So make sure you check that out. Those people that want to join the conversation on Clubhouse, just drop in your mobile phone number into the registration details and we'll get an invitation to Clubhouse sent out to you. If you look on our blog, you'll see that we've got some VIP tickets to an online Sherlock Holmes experience. The whole of my company had a go at doing that and they absolutely loved it. So I encourage everyone to give that a go. It's a great way of seeing in real time how the practices and experiences of a great immersive theatre company have managed to transcend into a digital environment. Am I missing anything? No, I think that's about it. So join us lunchtime, 1 o'clock every day this week. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye, Dorothy.
Take care, Hamish.
Nice one. Bye-bye.